And hello, good people of the internet. It is I, Tommy Kelly. This is Adventures in Woo Woo. This episode, I'm going to answer a question that I got on Discord this morning in a DM, and I thought it might be fun to do an old style episode where I just ramble for 10-15 minutes about a topic, and it's some question that I probably could do for about 10 or 15 minutes. Let's get into it. So the question is all about my experience with my HGA since the stuff I talked about a couple of years ago on the blog and on the podcast and videos and stuff like that. So I'll read the question. Is there any update on your relationship to your HGA? There's a long question, so I'll just go through it as it is and see how that goes. Is there any updates? The kind of no in larger, the momentum that was involved in the HGA stuff seems to have dissipated entirely. And that kind of feeling of it being important in my life or relevant to my life or something to pursue has gone. Almost as if whatever was showing its face, the HGA, Peregrine, or whatever, isn't kind of appropriate now or around now or showing its face, or, you know, perhaps it's integrated, don't feel it has. I suppose I should go back and talk a bit about what the Holy Guardian Angel experience was for people who, you know, don't read everything, don't listen to everything I've ever done. The first time that I was aware of my HGA as it has presented itself later was in about 2013 when I was doing the comic Them. And I'm not quite sure of my experience of how it presented itself, other than I know it did because it's all laid out in that comic as something that I was aware of being that it is a hyper sigil, that he does talk to this character that is Peregrine, who is a HGA. And there's conversations and stuff like that it is appearing. So at least in 2013, I was aware of what the HGA was, the name and something like that. Then a couple of years later, I think 3 or 4 years ago, my sense of time is completely and utterly gone since the lockdowns. While doing the Star Ruby challenge we were doing at the time, which is we were going to do a Star Ruby every day for 30 days. And Star Ruby is the Thelemic or the Aleister Crowley version of the Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram, or the Lesser Ritual of the Pentagram. Although many people make arguments that it's not a direct equivalent and has a different goal in mind, but it's to a large extent an equivalence. And while in the middle of doing that, it was in the second week of doing that, so some sort of after having done it for 7 or 8 days, I was doing a beloved practice from Alan Chapman's Magick, and very quickly there was this download of the name of the HGA, the sigil, and some correspondences and stuff like that. Interestingly though, the name of the HGA was spelled different this time. And that spelling of it made a lot more sense in kind of the stuff that was going on for me at the time, around feeling like an interloper, feeling like I didn't belong here, feeling like I was, you know, something on the outside, and all of that stuff. That if you want to really get into it, there's a lot of kind of posts on the blog that talk all about that kind of outside or feeling, the interloper thing. And it kind of lined up with that. There was some geometric kind of syncs around it. There was a lot of kind of things that made more sense then. But ultimately that then changed back and during the journeying session I asked which was the correct spelling of the name, and it's Peregrine, not Peregrine, which is a holy fire. Peregrine. Although I assume it's all kind of an aspect of it. So that's kind of where it was up till then. And at the time I was kind of going, is this the knowledge and conversation of the Holy Guardian Angel? Is it not? If you go by certain texts, particularly like say something like the Baptist Head trilogy of books, then it does line up as being what they experienced and what they decided and called that knowledge and the conversation of the Holy Guardian Angel, and it aligns with that. However, if you talk to other people and other experiences and other people who have had or claim to have it, it doesn't line up with that. And Marco at the time pointed out that what my experience more aligned with in Thelemic kind of ideas was the vision of the angel, which is the first glimpse of divinity. It's like the angel, the Holy Guardian Angel, he suggests it is the first expression of the divine towards you, so something you can recognize, which is why some people, their Holy Guardian Angels appear as certain gods or spirits or entities, because it's something that can resonate with you. Possibly putting some words into Marco's mouth there. And that's my kind of understanding of that kind of approach to it. And so it does feel more likely that what I had is the vision of the angel, because while I have knowledge of the angel, I have certainly no conversation with it. And also part of what the knowledge and conversation is the union between you and the angel. And so there's no division. It's between you and divinity. You have become one. There's no separation between you and the divine or the divine aspect or any of that kind of thing. And I certainly don't feel that at all. I feel it's very much a separation between me and the angel. So much so that, like, oftentimes the angel isn't about anymore, as I alluded earlier, that it doesn't feel like something that is present or that is integrated or that is a part of me. It's as if they've gone away entirely, but not in a kind of it is hard. It's not in a kind of a negative way. It's just not there. And so I in hindsight, don't think it's a knowledge and conversation of the Holy Guardian. And if it is, it's useless. It was kind of an interesting experience to have, but ultimately was no help to me. Ultimately was I didn't get any knowledge from it. I didn't have any conversation from it. I'm not in any kind of understanding of the universe or the way of the world than I was previous from it. My views certainly have changed because over the last couple of years around how I feel about the approach I was having. And part of the question I'll just read here is to do with that. The download came from Alan Chapman's Magick practice during it, but was it the Star Ruby? Was it other things that were going on? It had happened 5 or 6 years previous as well. But yeah, it certainly happened during the beloved practice. But you don't interface with those practices anymore. I don't. They're just not for me. It's the mystical approach, and I have a magical approach to things these days, which I will not bore you with because I've just bored people to tears about the rationality of magic and the difference between mysticism and magic, and they're not the same thing remotely. Does this mean that Magick was either a temporary useful thing to connect you, and that's fine as a transitory thing, or is it at all weird for something you seemingly opposed to, you are seemingly opposed to, that led to your HGA? I don't feel Magick did lead to the HGA because, as I say, I don't feel I have attained knowledge conversation with the Holy Guardian Angel. Like, the Magick stuff and all that, while it was a big influence, and the Kingsley stuff and all that, like, RuneScape is a bigger influence on me, much more expansive influence, much more my magical approach and thought and worldview and stuff comes from that. Not the conspiracy stuff, but Gordon's kind of magical outlook and stuff is much bigger influence. Stuart Wilde is a much bigger influence on me than the Magick stuff. And what I found from the Baptist Head Magick stuff is ultimately that it was pushing me in a direction that it wasn't where I wanted to be. I wasn't kind of lining up with who I am or my experiences, my personal experiences, and trying to put it into someone else's map. Just put me in the wrong direction. And that's not to say that there's anything wrong with the Baptist Head stuff or the Magick stuff or any of the things that you want to engage with. But it's not my path. But it's not a kind of an attack on any of that kind of stuff. It's just a mystical, Gnostic approach to spirituality that's not for me. And that's just talking about me. That's it. So to find it weird, well, an awful lot. I was talking the other night about Peter Kingsley on the Discord, and I was saying that one of the things about having read every word the man has ever written and listened to every word that he's ever spoken that's publicly available is that it helped me really have a better understanding of what I think is going on, in that it's not that. So, I mean, you can have an experience of a tradition. Same with Buddhism for me as well, that got really involved and really liked it, got into it, practiced it, and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately what I came was, right, it's not that. That's not what I'm looking for. That's not what it is. The conclusions drawn from it are not congruent with my experience and my life. That's not to say it isn't for other people, because I'm not totally convinced that we're all having the same experience or we're all having the same path. I don't, and I like in the same way that I'm not like the way we have neurodivergence and typical people or something like that people are experiencing the world in a different way. I'm not sure that isn't happening spiritually for people as well. I think we all may, rather than trying to demand that one awakened person's experience of the world is the truth of all things. I'm absolutely convinced it's not. And I think the only way you can really find out your own truth is going into it for yourself, rather than allowing yourself to be told what it is by other people. But you have to, in some sense, be told what it is by other people in order to understand what it isn't for you. Not sure that makes sense, but it's the best way I can describe it. Do you still agree with Mark that experience was division? I do, yeah. I think that it was division. I don't think it's the knowledge and conversation of the Holy Guardian Angel at all. It doesn't line up with the experience as described in, I'd say it's knowledge of, not conversation with, and there's no union with the divine. So that's kind of the update in the HGA, which is essentially there's no update. It's gone. It seems to. I still light a candle for it every now and again. I did it for a long while, every day. Put it in my on my altar and stuff. But I just don't really engage with it that much anymore, because it's just something that isn't going anywhere, or at least appears not to be going anywhere, or is absent. Whatever way you want to look at it. So, not sure if that's helpful in any way for other people. One thing I do want to say when I talk, because this happened recently, where I was talking to people about. They were talking about their magic experiences or their creative experiences, whatever. And I, on certain podcasts, talked about my experiences, whatever. And then they were kind of saying in one sense that they felt that I was gaslighting them, because what I was saying was my experience of something wasn't aligning with what they were doing, and also wasn't necessarily the advice I was giving them. And I want to point out, I am only ever talking about myself. I am never talking about your experience, ever. Sometimes it will resonate with other people, my experience. Sometimes it won't. And why I kind of really, really don't like the idea when people describe me or try to put me in the box of being a teacher, is that I'm in no position to teach anyone. I've been so wrong about so many things in my life, around spirituality, around life in general, but around my ideas. I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea about anything. I've things that I thought were absolutely true turned out to be absolutely false. And so for me, in some way, to feel that I can give you a definitive answer about anything, or direct you in a way, or anything like that, I can't. And so I would not in any way feel secure or honest in presenting myself as a teacher. That said, if you ask me for advice, I'm going to give it, but it'll be based purely on my experience, which mightn't be appropriate for you. And if it mightn't align with you, and it might be different. I might give you advice on something and say, well, this is what I did, but I don't think that's appropriate to you, because it kind of wasn't necessarily appropriate to me. And I'm not trying to gaslight you. I'm trying to just be as honest as I can about all of these things. But don't ever think that if I say something about myself, my experiences, that I am implying that is your experience, or should be your experience, or is the experience to have, or the truth. Because I'm in no way implying that. So please don't think that. That's just an addendum at the end of this. So I have managed to ramble on for about 13 minutes. It's been a while since I did one of these. I always kind of feel after it that I haven't said what I wanted to say. I haven't described it in enough way. There it is. I don't know what it is, but kind of speaking out loud does in some way clear these thoughts, and then subsequently having conversations with people about their experiences from what I've said also helped me understand the situation. So to wrap up, what am I saying? Is there an update in my HGA? The update is it's gone away. What do I think the HGA experience I had was, if it's anything, it's the vision of the HGA rather than the knowledge and conversation, because, as I said, I have knowledge of but no conversation with, and no union with the divine, where there's no separation between me and divinity. It doesn't happen. How did the thing come about? I'm not sure. Originally, sometime around 2012, 2013, I was aware of what my HGA's name was and what the nature of it was, but somehow have either dismissed it or forgotten. When it represented itself, it did happen during the Star Ruby Challenge, which we were doing while doing a Magick Beloved practice. So there was a number of factors going on there. Is it weird that having done the Magick practice that led to the HGA experience that I have subsequently then, let's say, rejected, for want of a better word? I don't think so, because as I tried to explain, that sometimes you have to embed yourself in something, be it Buddhism, Catholicism, Magick, Baptist Head, Rune Soup, Jason Miller's courses, whatever it is, all of these things that we do, is to understand that that's not what you're looking for. But to embed yourself fully in these things, because it's not just hopping as soon as things get difficult. That's not what I'm implying that you should do, or what I did. It's when you get to the end of it, in terms, you go, oh right, that's not what it is. It's not for me. And what I discovered out of all of that is that most of the things that I was embedding myself in was mysticism. But what I'm actually interested in and what I'm experiencing and what is expressing itself through me is actual fucking magic, not mysticism. So all of that led to that. But I couldn't pinpoint one thing. It's all of it. It's including experiences that happen in my life experiences, relationship experiences, doing all the journeying, possibly doing the Enochian scrying, the sessions with Black from the Secret Chiefs or whatever he is, and all of those things. I can't point to one thing, but all of them are part of it. And all of them lead to where I am now. Because of course, where else could it lead? And I don't really work in the HGA stuff. It's just kind of there. It's not. It's a bit like what Patanjali talks about in the Yoga Sutras, where he said, we talk about the powers. And he's talking about the cities, where he just goes, these things are going to happen when you do this type of work. Ignore them. That's just, don't get involved. Not that don't get involved, but it's like, that's just what it is. Don't become obsessed with them or get lost in them. And I'm trying my best not to get lost in any of this stuff anymore. And if Paragon pops up, awesome. But I'm going to let it unfold naturally in whatever way it wants, rather than trying to get the HGA badge or tick off that list, or have some sort of ego-based thing where I have something shiny that I can hold over other people that endorses my specialness or chosen oneness. So that's, I don't know if that's the answer you want. That's the answer I can give, and subject to change and experience and all things going forward. So, good people of the internet, thank you if you got to the end for actually listening to my rambles. And if you have experiences that you would like to share or thoughts around this, I'm definitely happy to hear them. And so until next time, good people of the internet, may our best days be ahead, genuinely, and be well.